Now, as we talked about, we are going to extend the branding project. We are going to make more and more products. But that means that you also need to have an understanding of labels, because a lot of the things that you do will have labels on them, and labels are quite different from other kinds of, when you put a logotype on a box or something like that, or on a t-shirt, because labels have a lot of information. They have a lot of different kinds of texts, which needs to be placed in a certain way so that it becomes understandable. They have a hierarchy of text. So we need to look at that especially. We need to look at that in a more detailed way. Now, labels get put on packages, and when you type packaging design or something like that into Google, and then go to the images to get an idea, you will see that packaging is something more than just a label. Packaging is actually thinking about the container that the product is going to be placed in. Now, this could be cardboard, obviously, but it could also be things like, for example, Tetra Pak. It could be things like plastic. Where you have things like pouches and things like that, or special containers. It could be glass. So we have a number of things here, and it could be all kinds of other things. So a graphic designer does not normally do the packaging design itself. That is usually done by an industrial designer with the input of the graphic designer. What the graphic designer does is take the package, the three-dimensional object, and then they place a label on it. They place the information, what's in that package. They place that information in a label. Now, that label could be paper, it could be plastic, it could also be transparent. There are a lot of examples for that as well. And so what we are going to be doing is we are actually going to be looking at labels. And there are I have put a lot of examples into this folder here, which is under vectors. And if you look at something like this, then you will immediately see that they have made a template here where they are in fact telling you about the hierarchy of how all of this different information, which is all text mostly, or usually, almost always it is text, what that hierarchy is going to be. So they put the logo, they just call that the Lorem and the Amet, just as an example. Then they tell you what it is. It's a cosmetic product. What is it made out of? Flour, oil, and honey. Further definition, handmade soap. And then they also put a date. Now, there are other kinds of template type things. So, for example, here's another one. So again, logo, or well, they have the logo here. So this is the title, the what the product is, which is organic wine. It's original. Then we go down the hierarchy. This is the biggest thing. It's written in the biggest point size. So this is number 1 in terms of hierarchy. These are number 2, the type of fermentation, the minerals. Then this is hierarchy number 3, the qualities, the definition, and so on. And then this is the last item on the hierarchy, which talks about temperature. So if we open another one here, then we see how this is applied. So this is the type of wine. It's a product of France. So this is number 1 on the hierarchy, okay? This is number 1 on the hierarchy. This is number 2 on the hierarchy. Here's the producer name. When it comes to wines, you usually put the producer name in a small way. Then this is number 3, and this is actually, this is number 3 and this is number 4 and then this is number 5. So you have a hierarchical textual setup. Let's look at another one here. Again, 1, 2, and 3. And 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that is how a label is actually set up. So it is not just a question of slapping a logotype on a piece of paper or a bottle or something like that. It's quite a bit more involved than that. Now what I've done in this folder, this labels folder, is I've also put down a number of element files, such as this one here, for example, which this is an EPS file. It's a vector file, so you can take elements from here, different elements, and you can integrate them into your design. Now what we don't do, obviously, I don't even need to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway, we don't just take a label, like let's say this here, and just change the text and make it our label. We design our own label. We make something original. We don't copy whatever is here. So, and yes, some of these are very nice, some of them are not that nice, but I put most of these here not for the visual quality, but just to give you an idea of how this stuff actually works. But so, for example, these here, these are actually nice. I mean, this is quite nice. But we don't just take this and use it. We may look at it for inspiration, to get ideas, and we may even take certain elements from them, but we don't use them exactly as they are by just changing their type. That we don't do, obviously. This is a design class, it is not a copy-paste class, so that's something that you do need to be careful about. But, like I said, I also have separate files here for separate design elements that you can just take from here and copy-paste into your design, instead of sitting down and painstakingly drawing things yourself. So, for example, drawing a scroll like these here would be very, very difficult. And I would never attempt it, and I would never expect anybody else to do it. I would just take whatever is here and then paste it into my own design if I need a design that is supposed to work like that. So let's see, what else do I have here in terms of separate elements? So for example, I have these frames here. So you can, for example, you can take the frame here and then put something else inside it. That would be okay. Taking the entire label and using that, no, that would not be okay, for obvious reasons. So, having said all of this, what the first thing that you need to do is you need to take your product and you need to set up your own textual hierarchy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to design a package for a donkey milk body lotion made by Tekir Efendi. So the logotype, Tekir Efendi's logotype in my design is going to be number 1 on the hierarchy. Number 2 on the hierarchy is going to be the word ıtriyat, which is an old-fashioned Turkish word which means beauty and body products. Now it says here donkey milk body lotion. Then I have a slogan that goes with that. So this is, to repeat, this is number 1 on the hierarchy. Let me actually even write this here. This is number 2 on the hierarchy. This is number 3 on the hierarchy. This goes with that actually, but let's just make it 4. Then I'm saying that it's an organic product. That is number 5 on the hierarchy. I'm saying that it hasn't been tested on animals. Number 6. The date. This is an old-fashioned store. It's been active since 1894, I'm saying. and then how much does it weigh? It weighs 250 milligrams. Now here, this is going to kind of like become more obvious when I start to design it. I'm not completely sure whether this here, this utriyat, should actually be number 2 or number 3 or in fact number 4, because what I may end up doing as I'm progressing in my design, I may actually bring this down here, in which case the hierarchy would change. The logotype would still be number 1, the what the product is would be number 2, the slogan for that would be number 3, and the word utriyat would be number 4. So it's either going to be like this, or it's going to be the way that it was when I first opened this text file, but that I will decide upon as I am progressing with my design. Okay, so this is the introduction to the topic of packaging design. I'm going to make a number of videos that go into different aspects of this, and so I will see you in the first one of that series.